Alright, so as you see, I'm back in Germany, back in my space, but that's not what today is about. Today is my hybrid Lolita slash video game review of Alisa, the game that I had helped with the Kickstarter, and it finally came out. It came out a little bit before I left to go to Pennsylvania. I didn't want to do a review at my parents' house. I just wanted to kind of be in my own space for this review. So why don't we just get started, because this is probably more than likely not going to be a very long review. So to those of you who've never seen me review a video game, it's a horror game, or it's a survival horror game, Alisa is. So I don't play survival horror games, even though I used to play it back in the day. Long story short, I don't play them anymore because they make me a little too nervous. So now I just sit on the sidelines and watch people play all the horror games that I want. And basically, as I'm watching, I'm not going to review things like how the controls work, because I don't know how that would go, because again, I don't play the games, I just watch them. So for me, I'm kind of looking for something a little different when I do my reviews. When I do my reviews, it's based purely on the things that I see, like how the puzzles, even though I'm not working the puzzles, I can tell how difficult they are, especially in watching various people play. Music is very important to a game. So those are in the story, and those are the things I tend to look for when I do reviews. Like, does it have a good story that I can sink my teeth into? Is it like fun to watch? Would it be one of those things? Sometimes even though I'm not playing, I'll be like, damn it, this seems like this would be really fun to play and also really good to watch. So I'm looking for a little bit different things, as opposed to somebody that actually sat there and took the time to play the game. So with all of that said and done, let's get into this review for Alisa. Now, I found Alisa, I want to say, while I was still living in Tampa, which would mean that would probably be about 2019. So I had found it popped up somewhere on my YouTube, and I was like, Haunted Mansion? Girl wearing Lolita? What the fuck is this? I need some of this in my life. Can I get some of this in? And that was how I found it. And at the time, I think it was called Alisa the Awakening, but it's just called Alisa now. So they were like, Casper Crows, which is the sole creator of this game, he had a Kickstarter up, and I was like, oh fuck yes, I will help with some of the Kickstarter on this. This game looked like it's gonna be slaptastic. So I helped with the Kickstarter, and it finally came out. There was a delay. It was supposed to come out in, I want to say, September of this year, but something happened between him and Steam, where Steam wasn't allowing it to go up, and there was a delay, and it came out, like I said, shortly before I left for Pennsylvania. I think it came out on October 22nd. So I watched a few people play this, because at first it was hard to find people that were actually playing this, and it was just like, god damn it, what is going on? So I finally watched a few people play. I watched a couple live streams of it. I watched a few people's let's play of it, and for the most part, I prefer the no commentary let's plays for this. So basically, the game starts off, and you're listening to your, I guess, commanding officer say some thief has stolen these blueprints, and you have to go and get the blueprints back. We're going to take a train, and everybody's going to get off at a stop, and you need to talk to people and find out where these blueprints are. So Alisa and her, I guess, second commanding officer, they stop in this little town, and they talk to this old guy who, I swear to God, looks like Jasper from The Simpsons. He's the old guy that hangs out with Grandpa Simpson with the big bulbous nose. He looks like Jasper, and I think Casper Crows had that old guy's picture up. And I was just like, oh my God, he looks like Jasper. So they talk to the old guy, and then they go do, Alisa and her second commanding officer go investigate, and they see this little dude run off into the mist, and Alisa goes and chases after him because her second commanding officer falls and swallows his cure-dent or his toothpick. So she runs off and goes after the guy who stole the blueprints. So she runs into like this pit, and then these doll monsters come out of the ground. So the first person I saw do this, they were trying to like valiantly to fight the monsters, but it's one of those sequences where you're not really supposed to fight. You're supposed to let yourself kind of die so the monsters can drag you off. So that's what happens. The monsters overpower Alisa and they drag her underground. She wakes up sometimes later in her blue Lolita dress. The reason I'm wearing Royal Corgis is because this is, if it was all black, it would be very similar to what Alisa had on, but this is the closest I could get to an all black military Lolita look. Her military Lolita look is amazing. I want that outfit. So, neither here nor there, just throwing a little bit of Lolita-ness into it, but this is the closest I have to military Lolita. But her military outfit, I'm saying, it as they used to say back in the bomb diggity. So, neither here nor there. Getting back to the game. So she wakes up, and that's when the demo that we had all seen starts. She wakes up, she gets the key to get out of her room, she runs into the doll that's wearing that typical pink Lolita dress, and basically she shoots her, runs around, goes in, and that's when she meets Paul, the puppet doll that helps you throughout the game. Oh, and if I haven't mentioned, yeah, it's definitely going to be spoilers. I'm probably going to put that in the title, description, whatever. But yes, definitely going to be spoilers. So if you haven't played it and you want to play it, yeah, you still have time to back out now. You still have time to bow out. I haven't given away like everything, but yes, spoilers. Back to the point of the story. So she meets Paul, and then the walking around the big creepy mansion occurs. I do love the soundtrack to this. I have, when I said she runs into Paul, and after the Paul part, you hear that creepy like 90s Resident Evil like deep like viola cello. I think it's cello. You hear that cello music, and then the piano going ding ding, and it's just like, oh my god, this is so cool. So the soundtrack to this, may I say, is just amazing. The woman who did Alisa's voice, she also co-wrote it with Casper Crows, and she did all the music. I love this soundtrack. So basically, you do a lot of running around, and my favorite, I think, piece of music is in the circus board, where, I don't know, it's that music. I've had that music in my head since I was like, oh, I'm going to do this review. I've had that music in my head all day. And that is actually my favorite one. I think because you're in that board a lot, you have to backtrack to that board quite a few times in the early parts. And you hear that circus music. And then plus, it's like some part where she runs in this ring, this large ring area, and you see all the puppets kind of jamming out to that circus music, and it's just like, oh my god, I love it. I am here for it. So basically, the goal of that circus board is to get to the first boss fight, which is Edmondson. And you have to fight him. That is a hard day. I've seen so many people struggle on that boss fight. It was goddamn ridiculous. I saw a lot of people get fucked up on that Edmondson boss fight. It's hard. I'm not gonna lie. Some of them boss fights looked hard as shit. I was like, oh shit, I'm glad I ain't playing this because I'd be all like screaming and mad and like rage quitting. But some of the Edmondson boss fight, the very first one, looked like it was super hard. So there's that. So after you fight him, you fall into this other board, and it's a lot of backtracking, but it's fine. One thing, because it's a game that's in that 90s survival horror vein, you really have to do a lot of like, not inventory management, but you have to do management of like your resource management. And I have seen people struggling because they go in there, typical mindset of I'm gonna go in there and clear out shit, guns a blazing, shooting everything that moves. And Paul has a very finite amount of shit that he's selling in his store. And his shit will sell out until you get to a point where he might have some extra. But it's a lot of resource management. You really have to watch what the fuck you're doing. Try not to get too fucked up on the dolls that are skulking around. Because if not, you're going to be like this one dude who couldn't get it together. He was all fucked up, and then he have nothing, and he was sitting here screaming because he didn't manage his resources well. So yeah, it's that kind of like 90s. You gotta pay attention to what the fuck is going on around you. You can't just go in there guns a blazing. You really have to manage your resources well, especially the med kits. There is, which I'm not sure is a glitch or not, in the kitchen there is a thing that says there's spices in there, and some of them can be used to heal. And then there's a bathroom somewhere in the mansion that says, I can use these for bandages. I don't know if they ever made those, if Casper Crows made those two things link up, because the play that I watched before I did this review, knowing that I was going to do this review, he tried to get the spices and he tried to get the bandages, but he never could. They just said spices and I could use these for bandages, but you couldn't take them. So I guess that was like a little disconnect between that. I don't know if that's something that's been patched up or sorted or what, but I figured I'd give somebody a heads up to let them know. Like, the last time I looked at the Let's Play, which I don't remember when that Let's Play came out. I didn't look at the date, I'm sorry, but those two things weren't connecting. So I know in the beginning there was a lot of glitchy stuff, but fix that in post, basically. So, and I did get some messages from Casper Crows via whatchamacallit, that they have via Kickstarter that he was patching all the problems. I don't know if that one got patched. Hopefully it gets patched. If it has gotten patched, great. If not, you probably want to fix that and get that together. But that's one thing that I picked up. So okay, so there are, I want to say, Edmondson, the Edith boss fight, the chick in the garden, then the Albertus, whatever his name is, and then the final boss fight. So I liked the boss fights. They did look hard. They had a pattern to them, but some of them were like, halfway through, like the pattern would change and you get all fucked up, and it was just like, oh shit. So, but if you're good at like paying attention to patterns and stuff, you could get through the boss fights. But they are like, I looked at the energy, the health bar of them villains, and they were stretched across the entirety of the damn screen. It's like, oh Jesus, we gonna be in here whiling for a while. So yeah, so the boss fights are really good. They're really intense. They're really like cool. I like them. I think my favorite boss fight is probably the woman in the garden. I can't remember what her name was. I want to say it was Iris something, but I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember. But I loved that boss fight. I thought that boss fight was really good. But my favorite part of that particular boss fight is after you finish it, you come back out, because it's in this dark, creepy garden, and like you come out after that boss fight and everything is bright and sunny and beautiful, and then she's like, I want to keep this garden like this forever, but then it turns back into gray and sad and like, oh, it was lovely and there was not, god damn it. So there is that. What else? Love that boss fight. The Edith boss fight. The Edith boss fight is interesting because along the way you meet this other doll who some dolls ganked her for her leg, and she says, I'm supposed to be here to protect you, but I failed, and then these dolls ganked me for my leg. Can you go get my leg back? You have to do this part. I think it might be optional, but even before you get to that doll who got for her leg, there's this giant doll in a glass case. You go in a room and the doll breaks out of the glass case. Come to find out, the doll that got for her leg, that's her mom. So during the Edith boss fight, if you take the option to get that girl her leg back, and you give her leg back, and she literally crawls into like what looks like a drainage ditch, she crawls off, and she'll come help you during that Edith like tentacle lady fight. And if you don't get her killed at the end of the Edith fight, she'll still be there with you. But once the Edith fight is over, once the little cutscene's over, her mother falls down, grabs her, and scoops her and takes her up the ceiling, and you never see her ever again. And I'm like, I need closure on that. Like, what the fuck? What, like, okay, they ain't had no closure. And I'm glad because I've seen a lot of people do that Edith fight. Either they don't get that doll her leg back, and she just is stuck where she at, or she gets killed in that Edith fight, because you can get that doll killed, but if you don't get her killed, her mother comes and grabs her by her waist and goes back up into the ceiling. And I'm just like, was that a good thing? Was that a bad thing? Like, okay, so I need closure on that. I need some closure, and I ain't getting the closure that I need for that, but I guess. So finally, there's a lot to have to do with these blueprints. This is the thing I was kind of like, I've been rewatching this for, because I don't think I understand what the overall plot was, because you find a bunch of diaries, you find kind of sort of that they're doing experiments on people in this underground place, but like these miners were digging and like they got scared off. And I think that's the place that they're in, but I don't know. And then, like, the blueprint situation, I never really got a clear understanding of what the fuck was going on. And that's the one thing I didn't kind of enjoy, because I keep rewatching this, like, well, maybe I missed something, and I'm thinking I did, and I've rewatched this like 4 or 5 times now. It's a good rewatch either way you cut it. I'm not mad at that, because it's fun to rewatch it, but I'm just a little lost on the plot. So basically, the guy that dragged you into all of this shit proclaims himself to be king of the dollhouse, basically, is where she is, and you fight him, which fighting him is amusing, because one time I was watching it early on, I was watching that fight scene, and Raven is in the room with me watching it, and she is just like mesmerized by that fight scene. I have like a 12-second clip of her just watching the fight scene. So there's that. So you kill him, and he tells you that you have to blow up the dollhouse. So you go back, you basically get all the stuff to blow up the dollhouse, and then as you're setting the bomb, pole falls down, and then you fight the last boss, which is the doll master. So basically, you kill the doll master and you try to escape. It looks like these creepy dolls like the doll monsters that dragged you into this situation are coming after you, but then they're like, oh fuck it, we just let her go, we gonna eat this doll master. So they eat him basically, and then it blows up and she blows back, and then the credits roll. So shut up, like, my name is in the credits. I was so happy, and I was not expecting it. I completely forgot there was a thing. So when I saw I Shot No, we just like, oh my god. So, but there's just me. Small things really, really amuse me. So, but then after the credits roll, there's an in-credit sequence where basically Alisa wakes up at her apartment or whatever, and she wakes up because her secondary commander is like, I didn't swallow my Q-Dong, I didn't swallow my toothpick. She wakes up and there's a note on a piano that says, truth about the blueprints. And it ends. You know, just like a tooth wheel rolls out from under her bed and it ends, and I'm just like, what's the truth about the, like, okay, well, that just left me hanging, leaving me all hang-tastic. So, yeah, I was confused on the plot, but overall, it is a really good game, and I really enjoy watching it. The soundtrack is so cool. I love it. Like the boss fights, they seem really difficult. Like, but they seem like they're fun. It seems like a game that I wish I wasn't such a fucking chicken to play, cause it does seem like a really, really, really fun game to play. I know one of the complaints early on was that some of the monsters moved a little fast, and like maybe it should be toned down. I don't know about that. I can't speak on that, but I didn't see anybody else struggling. Like, I've seen people struggle with the boss fights in some of the monsters, not all of them. So I guess it just depends on your 90s survival horror-esque ability to play games like that. Cause they shit in the 90s, they was moving. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. So, any other complaints other than that? I don't have any real complaints. It was really good. It's on Steam now. I am choked up. I'm so choked up about it. But I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was a really good game. I'm really happy that I helped with the support of this game. My money was well spent. I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it in the least. In fact, I enjoyed it very much. I would highly recommend people go and play it, especially if you like being frilly like me, or you like horror games, or God forbid you like both of them, which is my dumb ass sitting here in this frilly stuff right now. So go play you some Alisa game, because it is amazing. And I guess I'll post links so you know, like, I don't know where to find it. But it's on Steam, but I'll post links in the description. I lied to y'all and said this is going to be quick. I thought it was, but apparently I just be running my mouth. So that is all I have right now. And again, I recommend Alisa. Please go play it. Please go support Casper. And hopefully he'll make either like a DLC or like a sequel, or I don't know, something, because I need some closure. I need some closure on that doll who got for her leg with her mom. And I definitely need some kind of clarity on this plot, because I was just lost. It was like I was with it, and then I wasn't with it, and then it just was gone. So that is all I have, and I will see y'all shortly, because I have a few other vlogs to do. All right, later.